I don't know if you don't know, the host today, she's magnificent. I don't want to pick up her head, but her head is already big. She's wonderful. Does anyone know who she is? Tori Talks, yes. If you listen to her podcast, her blogs, or say vlogs, she is well spoken. She knows what she's speaking about. So I want us to please be upstanding on our feet. I know we're doing up and down, up and down. I want us to be upstanding on our feet. And I want us to give a big round of applause. Stamp your feet.
Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate your attendance. This is the fourth day of the Impact Week. The Elephant and Castle Youth have been working really hard to put together this event, and I really appreciate them for putting on me. So we're going to start off by introducing our panelists to the couch. We have a different setup today, and after that we will be going into a discussion, a debate, questionnaire about love, everything love, from vacations to sexual assaults and all the extra bits. Don't worry guys, we've got very, very exciting things for you. So I will start by having a seat. It's really lovely. And I want to invite to the couch Mother Celestial Sherry Edu. She is one of Celestial's brother Michael Oshodi. I also wanted to welcome to the couch another set of marriage counselors that I've been hearing so much about, Mr. and Mrs. Hornsby Odoi. We have two other panelists who will be joining us sooner rather than later. Just excuse them for now. Right, so to introduce staff, we will be going into a few questions in regards to love, and we will be discussing it openly and frankly to discuss the hurdles that we face in building relationships as young stars, old stars, stars, and every other kind. This is in relation to I am theme this week. Right. Right, so are you ready? First question for you. Okay, so today we're going to start off by talking about staying content in our season. Actually, okay, the first question is for you. Are you getting it? We're going to keep it very, very brief, get to the point today. Okay. So today, we want to firstly start by asking you, in terms of singleton. Okay. How do you stay content with being alone? And I mean in terms of, I think I've made that clear.
I think one of the most important things is to enjoy your own company. As humans, we sometimes have this great desire to be around people all the time, to to want to be part of something. But if you enjoy your own company, you won't have a desire to always be someone's other. You know, that's the first. I'm on this panel, which will become clear as someone that once got divorced. And I remember when I got divorced, I think the expectation was, hey, go out and find someone else. But it was my older sister that once came to my house and said, you know what? It's high time to start enjoying your own company. Do things for yourself, do things around yourself. And that's it. To be honest, I did a lot of studying. I mean, that was quite good. I got into myself. I started meditating a lot more. I went out and I actually went to the cinema movies on my own. Yes. It may have looked odd at the time, but to be honest, I enjoyed it. And I started enjoying it myself, so that when I did meet someone, the person would hopefully complete me, and not that they're feeling something that I'm missing.
Was you content?
I was happy actually. When I did meet my wife now, I wasn't actually physically looking for someone.
Oh.
I just met her. I met her by chance. I met her. She walked into this church and just walked straight out. And I was like, who was that? But, you know, I wasn't really out there looking for someone. So my advice is enjoy your own company.
Let's get perspective of somebody else so that I can be convinced. What else?
The first thing I would say is, just to buttress on what Uncle said, is embracing me time. Understanding your own value, understanding that there's not someone else that you need to complement or to build yourself. There's certain things that people can do to not only keep themselves occupied, but also develop themselves as well. Because people have certain different qualities, people have different characters, but there's certain things that may be missing from yourself that you can build upon to be able to make yourself the complete person. So people are afraid of me time, and that's the reason why a lot of people are not content with who they are. Now, if you want to look at different things that you can be able to do to sort of be content, is just like Uncle said, being able to go out and do certain things that you're very uncomfortable with. Because getting yourself out of that comfort zone is what would help to build yourself up better. So, for example, it could be, just like you said, going to the cinemas. It could be taking on something that you haven't done before. It could be something that could be a thrill to you, or something that is even fearful to you as well. That also builds your confidence too. If you want to look at it from the education side, go and do a course. Look at something that will build your knowledge as well, and to also complement what you have.
Do you have a real life example from your perspective? Like, what do you do? I want real life examples, because I can't relate to advice that's given. What do you do?
What do I do? Okay, well, recently I've just done a course in project management.
Oh, okay.
On top of that, people that know me well know that I like to travel. So I travel when I can.
Okay. Sorry. Give me your accolades. Okay, so in terms of engagement, yeah, back to you. We are ready. I know. Don't worry, everybody will be grilled today very well. So in terms of engagement, what should we as singletons be doing to prepare for marriage?
I think that one of the most important things is you need to work on yourself. As I said earlier, there's this great desire for people to sometimes think other people will complete them. But you need to work on yourself as a person. You need to sometimes I counsel a lot of people, and I sometimes say don't become too independent. But you need to become independent. You need to, get yourself going as a person. Work hard, get yourself into a right position, get yourself into a right job. If that's what you want to do, if you're going to do a business, get into that. Build yourself. Get yourself to a point where you feel good. So when someone else comes into your life, they're there to help excel you to other places, not help bring you up from where you may not be. If that makes sense. How do you prepare for marriage? To be honest, it was quite hard. I don't think I ever truly did prepare for marriage. I think I just led up to marriage. I think it was one of those steps where people say you get to a certain age and you're expected to choose a partner and get married. So my first time around, one of the biggest mistakes I did was I never really prepared as such. I just allowed it to happen. And it's one of those funny things. Marriage is the only thing that I think you do in this world where you get a certificate when you start. Everything else, education, you get your final exam, then you get a certificate. Driving lessons, you go for driving lessons, and when you then finally pass, they give you a certificate. But marriage is the only one when you just start it, they go, hey, here's a certificate. I think then we then think, oh, we're there. But marriages are very difficult things, but at the same time, marriages are very nice. To sleep and wake up next to someone who loves you and you love back is one of the greatest feelings I know. But there is a lot you need to do to prepare yourself. This thing that I'm very big on, you have to prepare yourself. You have to work on yourself. You need to, it's just like Michael said earlier, he travels a lot. Educate yourself, expose yourself to things, see things, sow some of those royal oats, if that's the way they put it. Although,
no one puts it that way.
Although that's not something as a Christian you can do, yes. But you can go out and experience things, and then you then come, when you do meet someone, you then settle into something that hopefully turns out to be great.
Amen. Okay. Okay, mommy. Well, I have a question for you. In terms of engagement, actually that's not the question. Sorry. In terms of marriage, how do you stay happy and comfortable with who you are? With who you are, where you are, and like for example, how do you stay happy financially? That's just an example, but I would like for you to touch on other aspects as well. Yes.
Staying happy within a marriage is about, first and foremost, I think it would be communication. Talking about communication between the parties.
Yes.
Trust, understanding. And you see, it all boils down to before the marriage actually takes place. Are we psychologically prepared to make that commitment to marriage? For example, you spoke of finances. For you to be able to share your finances with another person, you must be psychologically committed to that person. Marriage, I have said, is an empty box. It's about what you put into the box. Marriage is about being psychologically prepared to give and give and give. But in a situation where you're not able to do that, then there will be financial issues. Then of course, where there is no communication, there could be a lot of issues regarding money. They say money is the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. Yes. The love of money is the root of all evil. So your question was,
how do we stay happy?
Yeah, how do we stay happy? We stay happy by being committed even before the marriage, by being prepared to share your life with this person. That's how you can actually stay happy. And then when you're in the marriage, you have to be ready to give your life to that person. You give your body, you give your thoughts, you give your dreams, your aspirations to that person. You share the life together.
Okay, thank you, Mom. So the next question is, how can I embrace my singleness? Now, for that one, I just want you to give us suggestions on how to embrace that season, because it can be pretty tough for someone who doesn't want to be in that season in the first place. And should we be actively searching for a partner?
Firstly, I don't know why we call it a season per se, because we see it as a season of drought, and it shouldn't be a season of drought. It should be a season of upliftment for someone. Okay. Yeah, I see it as a season of upliftment for somebody, in the sense of, now that your sole focus is on yourself, you should be able to use different things or embrace different things to be able to build up yourself as well. What was the second question?
Should we be actively searching for a partner?
Yes, because I don't know, if we are looking for somebody, or if we want to be able to settle down with somebody or enter into that step of marriage, then you would have to look or be open to be available for somebody. So
should we be actively searching, as in finding them?
yes, because again, marriage is something that has come directly from God. So I believe that everyone should be actively looking to be able to take that step of marriage. However, there are some people that are not suited for marriage, and it even says so in the Bible as well. So it's not everybody that is built for marriage, but the ones that are built for marriage, then there's nothing wrong with them being able to chase or be able to go for that step of marriage.
Yeah, I'm going to throw the same question to you, Mrs. Consuelo, because I just feel like for men, the rules are slightly different than it is for women. Should we, as women who are single, be actively searching for a partner? And are we at that time also embracing the not so season, or obviously goodness?
Depends on what you mean by actively seeking. I mean, is it going out looking, asking? You know, what does it mean by actively seeking?
Putting yourself out there, so like telling everyone and anyone, I'm single, you know, if you have anybody for me.
Okay, so for me, the first thing starts with God. You know, what is God saying to me at this stage in my life? You know, because that was always the starting point. If, just to give you an example, before I was getting married, before I got married, the last thing on my mind was marriage. You know, I was just living. You know, I finished my degree, and I was just doing my own thing, and I was concentrating on, and it was at the point of my life where I was growing in my walk with God, and my hunger and my focus was on Him. You know, so I'll go to church, you know, go to events, conferences, and in the course of that, and I remember at one point, and really I have reservations about dating as we have it today. You know, boyfriend, girlfriend, changing. You know, I have reservations about that.
What were your reservations with them, I'm asking?
Okay, let me come back to that.
Okay.
Let me continue.
Yes.
Finish this and then we'll come back to that question. It's a very good question. Okay, so I was just, you know, people ask me, say to me, oh, you're not married, oh, you don't have a boyfriend, you don't have a girlfriend, you know. And I thought, why do I always have this question coming at me? Why should I? Why should we always be coupled? You know, society tells you that you must have someone. Should you? You know, and I think that's actually quite damaging. So in my mind, I was clear what God's will for me was that I did not have to have a boyfriend. You know, and that I was so convinced in my decision. So regardless of what people said, regardless of what friends or relatives would say to me, and I was only in my late teens, early 20s when all this was being thrown at me. But I was clear as to what God's will was for me. You know, and 2 weeks after that decision of saying, Lord, you know what, I'll wait on you. Marriage is not on my mind. I'll concentrate on what you want me to do with my life. I'll finish, as I said, I'll finish my degree. I was thinking of my career. 2 weeks as I was thinking this, I met my husband. It was the last thing on my mind.
That's it, people. When they fly over your head.
I was just concentrating on what God wanted me to do with
So, the gentleman have talked about, and loving yourself, the value you place on yourself, and remember, you don't want anyone to come into your space. Do you understand? You're special, you're valued. You don't want people to be coming in and out of your personal space. So you need to place value on yourself. You need to protect yourself. You need to protect who has access to you. So for me, it was not an issue. I didn't battle with it. I didn't battle with the whole thing about looking for someone. That was not how I met my husband. But when I met him, within a few months, I said, this is the man I want to spend the rest of my life. Now going to your question about dating, we live in a society where you have to be coupled.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Where there is this pressure for young people to have a boyfriend, have a girlfriend, and when you don't, there's something wrong with you. Or you want to have to be loved or valued. People are in those relationships and they are so unhappy. And some of them are in toxic relationships. It is not doing you any good. As a matter of fact, by the time that relationship ends, you're in a worse position than when you entered that relationship. So it's very important. So when you keep dating, I dated this one for 3 months, or 1 year, 2 years, then I went on to this one, then I went, it's damaging, it can be damaging to you emotionally. And the sort of issues you have to go through, the hurts, the emotions, and you're tying yourself to someone. What's the purpose of the dating? Are you thinking of getting married? Or are you with this person because you want to be seen to be with someone, you want to be coupling? So for me, dating, as we understand it today, it's not something I'm for. However, courtship, obviously you have to...
Intentional.
Exactly. So I was clear in my mind that if anyone would say to me, this is my girlfriend, and which is not something I felt comfortable with anyway, it was with a purpose. I wasn't just drifting. Yeah?
I love that.
Okay.
Okay, so this one, I'm going to throw it to all the panelists, and I want to see what the general answer will be. So, should we, as Christians, sit and wait for God to reveal our partners to us? Who wants to take it up? Somebody has to pick it up.
Let me take this one.
Thank you.
You've got to understand that God is for you. God has got your plans for you, and the Bible clearly tells us that the plans are good. So it's the trust you have in God. So if you trust your Heavenly Father, then you should be prepared to wait for Him to show you the timing, and so and I think another thing as well. I just want to add this a bit. Most of us, and especially at the age where you are wanting to get married, you're always looking for Mr. Right, or you're looking for Mrs. Right. But what you should really ask yourself is, are you Mr. Right, or are you Mrs. Right? So just as all the panelists have said, this time that you are supposedly waiting, you should be developing yourself and making yourself into that person who would be right for the person who you'd eventually get married to. So yes, instead of just sitting down, crossing your feet and saying, I'm waiting on God, what you should be doing is get that out of your psyche. Don't dwell on it, because God is for you and He will take care of you. He's your Heavenly Father. So at that time, what you should be doing is getting yourself, not ready, but getting yourself into the best position as you. So this, I like the heading you've got, which is I am love. And that's what you should be doing. Getting yourself into that perfect, lovely person that God wants you to be. Stop dwelling too much on it. And just like my wife said, just to give an example, I was also, the last thing on my mind was when I met her, was marriage. I wasn't thinking about marriage. I was thinking of sorting myself out, my career. I was moving on with my career. I was doing other things, like I was pumping weights, because I wanted to.
Oh yeah.
I mean, as you can see, it hasn't really happened. But more importantly, what you should be doing is sorting yourself out and let God take care of that. So yes.
Uncle, was your wife revealed to you?
That's a very interesting thing. A lot of Christians think like a light should come, or something.
Yeah,
you
there should
wake
be a
up and
carnival or
there's
something.
this. Yeah, you would see an mirage or something to say, oh, she's going to come in a red dress. You see, God, you can't put God in a box. It happens to some people. Some people actually see something, but I personally did not. Like I said, I was actually on my way to church, and I met this angel on the westbound platform of the district line.
I like that. People run to the floors again. Okay, I'm coming to this side. Oh, you want to answer? Oh, sorry.
So my answer would be simply let us be open to the idea of settling down or finding a partner. A lot of the notions that we have, especially when it comes to us settling down, is people expect someone to come to their door and say, oh, this is the person that I can send to you. It's not going to happen that way. And for us to be able to be open to relationships means that we're ready to settle down. So I'd say my final answer would simply be, let us be open to it rather than chasing it.
So, should we be sitting and waiting for God to reveal our partners to us? Also, did God reveal your partner to you? If you don't mind me asking.
I'll take the.
Do you want to?
Thank you. I'll take the second part of the question first. Just like the gentleman said, the first time I actually ever saw the lady I'm now married to, who I've been with for 11 years, thank you. She walked in, just asked, have you seen my sister? I said, who's your sister? She said who she was, sister from her, and I pointed her out, and that was it. I didn't think about her. I think that happened around March. The second time I saw her was in September. She pulled up in front of the church. It was the day of the harvest. I was outside and sitting in the van. She pulled up in a car, and I think my cousin was with me, and I looked at her and I went, there's something about that lady. Honestly, that was it. And then I didn't do anything. I did not say a word to her. I went to pray about it. I really did. I spent 3 months praying on it. I called people who were close that I could trust. I asked them to pray. It didn't matter. I didn't know if she was engaged. I didn't know if she was married. But she did. It's like she spoke to me without even talking. And I went to pray over it. And it took 3 months. And then I felt comfortable that she was the one for me. And when I approached her, I didn't approach her on the basis of, just like the lovely lady said, I didn't approach her on the basis of let's go out, let's date. I just said to her, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a wife. Now, that can be off-putting at times. There's some of the young ladies I counsel in church, men come up to them and say, oh, God has revealed you my wife, and they find it extremely annoying. So, but I didn't go to her and say, God has confirmed. No, I didn't tell her I prayed about it. I just went to her, spoke to her, and I just, when she said, what are your intentions? I said, these are my intentions. I want to settle down. I want to be married. I want kids. And that's it.
And you boys, are you taking notes? Just saying, that was really.
Thank you. So now, the first thing, when you I said it earlier, I wasn't really looking the day she appeared to me, just like the lady said, when she met her future husband, after a few weeks, was it? You knew. It was, it was weird that they showed her to me previously, but I didn't take any notice. It's only when I saw her in September, I said, there's something about this lady that is doing it for me. And it's only after I prayed about it that I was convinced that she was the lady for me. So you can't, just as the gentleman said as well, you can't ask, it's not going to be the same for everyone. Some people say, you know, I strengthen this. If that's the way God speaks to you, then fine. Well, you've got to know understand how God speaks to you. God speaks to me in my meditations, in my quiet moments. So it took me a while to sit down and think about it, and meditate over it. Obviously, for 3 months, I wasn't thinking about it all the time. I had to work and make money. But in those quiet moments, I thought about her. I let her come back into my focus. I thought about her. I prayed about it. And only when I got the assurance that, yes, she was the right one for me, then I took the next step.
I think a common theme that I'm noticing is that both the Hornsby and Mr. Sigwa had a relationship with God, same thing as Brother Oshodi has been saying as well. Having a relationship with God, same thing as what Mommy has been saying, having a relationship with God is very, very much key, because that is the first person you're having communication with as to guide you to find your partner. Or maybe not find your partner, but like find a partner, find you. Right? Right. Okay. So, Mommy, so that it's not like I'm cutting you out. Okay? The same question applies. Was your partner revealed to you? And also, tell me, if you don't mind, your current state when you met your partner, in terms of like, sorry, thank you, Uncle. What was your state like? Were you content with where you were? Because as we heard from Hornsby advice, they said that they were both very career-driven and about their lives. They were going at their own speeds in their own lives, not really too concerned about who is my partner. So I just want an insight as to what common state were you in before you met your partner.
Yes, I feel it's important that I point out that in most cases, people will not necessarily and should not necessarily be just there seeking and searching and waiting. Because life does go on. The Bible says that the vision is for an appointed time and it will surely come to pass. Habakkuk 2:3. So at some point, as you go along in life, you will meet people. In my case, I was in the university. Or I would say I had just finished university and I was going to serve. And I met my husband then. But I didn't necessarily see him as somebody who I was going to marry. I didn't even think about it at all. I had other plans. I had plans to come to England and do another degree. And that was my main focus. And that was also what my parents were thinking about. My parents were not thinking about me getting married there. Well, at least my father wasn't. I didn't know. My mother had other plans. My mother apparently had other plans. But then I was not thinking about getting married at all. And I met him and I didn't see him as the person I was going to marry. But like I said, it's for an appointed time. It's along the line, it happened. I'd also like to point out that you find that you meet a lot of people, so you don't know who it is going to be. And like our father here pointed out, you need to pray. The Bible says you should pray without ceasing, so that the Lord can direct you to who it is going to be. Because you cannot start testing here and testing there and hopping from A to B and to C. So in my case, yes, I did not plan it. I did not even envisage it. But I believe that when it is the right time, the Bible tells us that everything is for our own good. If it's for your good, it will certainly happen if you are full of prayer.
Was it revealed to
believe I would say it was revealed to me in dreams. Yes, dreams.
Okay, so the next question, I want to keep it very brief so that we can move on. This is specifically for you, bro. Sorry. The question is just, how do you prevent yourself from feeling alone in the society of now, being single and being surrounded by social media? You're surrounded by people are going on vacation, everyone's doing couple goals, power couple, black love, like all these different hashtags are there and they are very much in your face. How do you prevent yourself from feeling alone?
I believe that societal pressures is, again, something that's very telling on today's society. And I'd say one way that you can avoid that kind of thing is, just like we've been saying before, is trying to avoid certain mediums or certain avenues where this kind of thing is promoted. So for example, if we are on social media and our focus is very high on social media, then we should try and move away from that kind of thing, because it's something that is clearly going to influence us. It's clearly something that is going to influence or affect our character. So I believe that going forward, one way that you can avoid these kind of things is, again, minimize the amount of time that you're on social media, because it would affect your state of thinking, it would affect your thoughts, it would affect your theory that you have in your mind. Also, I would say as well, just like we've been saying before, look at other things that would take away your focus from that. So if it's you being able to embrace different courses, being able to focus your mind on elsewhere, like for example, one thing that I always do is, rather than me focusing on social media, I listen to podcasts, and podcasts about different topics or different things around me that would be of benefit to me. So for example, I listen to podcasts about politics, I listen to podcasts about self-development. So these, I can plug them for people later on if they want to know, they can ask me. But these kind of things are the things that we can be able to embrace within ourselves, so that we don't get bogged down or affected by the typical hashtag like vacations, or the typical things around us that may think that, oh, we're alone, or oh, we can't be able to do certain things without a partner, because there's a lot of things that we can do by ourselves that we can be able to uplift ourselves with.
Thank you. Right, so we're moving on to the next part. Marriage material. We're not talking about the ashrafi, we're not talking about the gigi. We're talking about the kind of things that you desire in your other half, should they say, or your other whole, as they say now. I'm going to throw this question to you first, Mommy. Can you explain in a bit more detail? I know you said you wasn't seeking, but I'm sure there were things that you perhaps desired in your partner. Could you list maybe a few in a bit of detail, and maybe the why as well?
For me, the first thing without a shadow of it was someone who, hello, is that okay?
Thank you. So the first thing for me was, did he love God? That was the first thing for me. And it's not enough for you to be just going to church. It's not enough for you to tell me. It's not enough for you to talk about Christian things. As a matter of fact, when I met my husband, it was more about the way he carried himself, and the confidence in I just sensed the purity of heart, and as we got to know each other, I could see that he was sold out, completely sold out to God. So for me, the first thing was someone who loved God. And it's not, as I said, it's not enough to tell me. And secondly, your character. He was so unassuming. He seemed quite straightforward. For example, when we were in church, the first day we met, I was going to church, early morning service, he was on his way to early morning service. They ushered me to my seat. Now this is where the details get hazy. They ushered me to my seat and he comes and sits next to me. station. And I remember thinking, that was bold, so I thought, okay, let me just walk into the station and, we'll make our, we'll go our separate ways. So when we got talking, my stomach had been rumbling because I'd gone to the early morning service. And I said to him, gosh, my stomach had been rumbling. What's rumbling? Did you hear it? I can't remember what he said. And I said, I really need to have something. I don't know why I said that, but I said I needed to have some breakfast. So he said, okay, let's go. Let's get our breakfast. So we went and we sat down and we had breakfast and we got talking. And so in the course of talking, you get to get a feel of this person's character. But even then, I was thinking of marriage. I just thought, oh, this is such an easygoing chap. He was very straightforward, and all that. So the point I'm making is that if you love God and you're intimate with Him and you spend time with Him, when something good comes into your life, you sense it. Do you understand? You sense it. And so that love for God is so key. Another thing was someone who was going to be a good father. Is this the sort of person who are going to be a father to my children?
Yes. Do you remember it differently?
Oh, absolutely. I remember every detail of it. And it's interesting that she talks about her sitting down first and me following and sitting down next to her. Because I remember me sitting down first. Someone was sitting next to me. But it doesn't matter because eventually we got talking. But I think from a man's point of view, one of the things that there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, but you have to go past that. Initially, men are very visual beings, and the reason I'm saying there's nothing wrong with it, that's the way God made us, and God never makes mistakes. So usually, a man is very attracted to a woman's beauty, and the next thing is you have to go past that because it is not just beauty. You're going to live with this person for 25 years. It's not just beauty. More importantly, we've been married for 25 years. But more importantly, with a man, for me, I was looking for character. And you only get to know a person's character when you spend time with that person. So when you are, I don't want to use the word looking, but when you are getting to know someone, get to know that person on a very natural basis. Don't go with an intention of I'm going to check this person out to see if got good character. Just be very natural. Get to know the person, and that's what I did with my wife. Like she said, when I eventually, after we had our meeting, I eventually saw her off at the tube station. She was going one way, I was going another way. I knew that if I didn't get some sort of contact details from her, that would be it. So I just asked her for her phone number. And of course she said no. Now what do you do in that sort of occasion? Do you just say, oh no, let me chat this girl, I'm going to take you on the kind of. No, just be yourself. So I just went like, that's it. She's not going to give me a number. What else? Just end off. And apparently I had such a sad, sorrowful look on my face that she felt sorry for me and she decided to give me her number. But the important thing is be as natural as possible in your getting to know your people. Look especially for character, and that comes as you get to know the person more and more. And then the next thing for me was the moral compass. And just like she said, what kind of moral things is this person offering? And of course, if you're a Christian, we know the kind of moral things that God wants us to line up with. So for me, firstly as a man, and I'm not going to hide it, starting with the person should be pleasant looking. Secondly, in your eyes, but more importantly, you've got to go past that because that is not the all and be all for a relationship. But more importantly, the character of the person, the moral compass the person has. And then you should absolutely have an affection for that person. You should love that person. Don't go into a relationship with wrong motives. Like, or maybe I noticed that these people have a lot of money in their family. Or I noticed that, that I can probably get rich if I stay with that person. That's the wrong motive. So it should be true love. And then all these other things come in. And for every individual, it will be different. I mean, I am hot on character and morals, and I advise you to look for those important things as well. Because don't forget, it seems like we are putting everything in. I want to get married, but we're going to be with this person for life. It's not boyfriend, girlfriend, where in 5 years time you can say, I can't stand this person anymore, end of where I'm going. No, it doesn't work like that. So get the foundations right and then live happily ever after. Because living happily ever after is possible.
Okay, just a second, everyone. One of our panelists has come finally. Sister Maria Tyra, you can just join us on the stage. We really appreciate it. Don't worry, it's not over shame. Oh, and Brother Conley as well was in the house. You can just come and join us on the stage. Thank you. Don't worry. It's okay. Right, guys. So we're moving on to the next topic, merging different values and beliefs. We want to explore basically, is it okay to kind of compromise certain values and beliefs of yours to be with your partner if you both do not see certain things eye to eye? So I'm going to pose this question first to Mr. Swart.
Thank you. In my view, if there are cracks at the beginning, the cracks get worse. So if you have certain issues that are important to you and the person you're with doesn't agree with these things, to them it's not important, then you need to discuss that and you need to think about it, because it doesn't get better, in my opinion, it actually gets worse. Unless you work on it together, and that takes a lot of effort. So my advice is always, and when I counsel people I say this, you need to talk. First of all, one thing I think is very important is you need to build a friendship first with the person you hopefully that you end up marrying. Because in the course of a marriage, and I'm sure the lovely couple there may tell you this, there will always be ups and downs, there will always be issues. And when there are issues, one of the first things that takes the hit is the romance, the love. So you then need to rely on the friendship to keep you together, and then hopefully you resolve it, and then the love returns. Because if you're unhappy with someone, the last thing you want to do is jump into bed with them when you're married. This is in the marriage already. If you're really unhappy, you hear about marriage couples that will say they've not been close for a long time because there are issues there. So if you have a friendship with someone before the marriage, then in that friendship you talk about things. You talk about what's dear to you, what's important to you, your aspirations, as the lovely lady mentioned earlier, and they in return will talk about their aspirations, what's important to them. Now, and then in the midst of this, now let's say you meet someone who says, I don't want to have kids, and you are adamant that you always wanted to have kids. Now, I'm sorry, I don't believe you should then stay in that relationship thinking that maybe sometime he will change his mind or she will change her mind. If they've said they don't want it, now you can work on it together And if they then change their mind, then great. But not, okay, you know what, I'm in love, I'm going to marry him or her, and maybe sometime down the line, what about if they don't? Then the resentment kicks in, and then the relationship breaks down. So one of the most important things is talk about it. If someone doesn't meet your, if you're not equally yoked, which I know is one of your other questions, then you really need to think about whether you go forward with that relationship or not. It's hard. There's nothing easy about relationships. There's something that we talked about this earlier, where we think the peer pressures that you need to be with someone. If you break up with this, people will go, oh, that's the third person, that's the fourth person. But sometimes you have to meet people, talk to them. But this is why it's important to be friends before you even start the romance. Because if you're friends with them and you know that they don't meet your aspirations, then don't start the romance.
Thank you all. So, Molly, I've got a question for you, which is it correct, or should I say, do you believe it's okay for a woman to adopt her husband's, the religion of her husband or partner?
Is this in the marriage or before?
Before, because you would know before, most times.
Well, like he said a few moments ago, that you're going to ask the question about being unequally yoked.
Mommy, wait. Sorry, audience. You have to be very, very, very attentive. There will be no point of us speaking if you're not attentive. But there are small bits of paper underneath your seats. If you do have any questions, you don't see a piece of paper sitting to the ushers. There's a bit of paper on your seat. If you have any questions, you can write it down so we can treat it after the discussion time. Thank you.
Repeat your question again. Yeah, your question was, you want to adopt the... Is it correct to adopt the religion
of the husband or partner?
The Bible tells us that we should not be unequally yoked. And if we love God, and we are doing everything, the Bible says we should do all things to glorify God. And that we should love our God with all our heart and mind and soul. And obviously, we should therefore obey God in all things we do. Because He knows us, He made us, and He knows what is best for us. So my submission is simply and clearly that no, there will be no point being a Christian and then saying, oh, I'll just marry this Muslim. Or being a Christian and saying, I'll marry this Hindu person. And because we love each other, we are going to be able to work it out. Because along the way, there will be irreconcilable differences, certainly. There are several examples in the Bible. We see that because of this, King Solomon lost his glory. We see the example of Samson, yes. We see the examples of, so many examples throughout the Bible whereby people are unequally yoked and then they lose the love of God. We see what happened to David. We also see that in the Old Testament, the Lord told the Israelites not to mingle. He said, do not allow your daughters to marry the people in those foreign lands. Also, do not let your sons marry their daughters. So, in this day and age, you find that in a situation where you are different religions, there's usually an issue. How do you bring up your children? Where are they going to worship? And I always say that religion is actually a way of life. At least Christianity is. So if it is your way of life, and your way of life is not what your partner is practicing, then you're not actually having a life together. You're not. So I don't want to be too radical, but I'll put it this way: would you go on a stroll with the devil? you wouldn't bother. You wouldn't go on a stroll with the devil. The Muslim, the Hindu person is not necessarily the devil. However, their practices, their beliefs are different from yours. So what's the point of entering into a relationship that will start having cracks from the very word go?
So what you're saying, sorry to put it, is almost like celestial shouldn't look outside for a non-celestial partner?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. The Celestial Church is a Christian church, a Bible-believing church.
Yeah.
So essentially, we are Christians and we mingle with Christians. That is another aspect entirely.
Okay.
Now, talking specifically about the Celestial Church, I would like to say, where the Celestial Church is concerned, we have tenets and ordinances and practices like every other church. In fact, nowadays, every denomination has their own peculiarities, their own unique features. So even in that, within Christendom, we have to be careful how we mingle when it comes to marriage, I would like to say. We can mingle together, we can fellowship together, but then when it comes to marriage, you may want to be very careful and discuss it very well before you embark. Because if I'm in a white garment church and you're in a church where they do not wear white garments, obviously our practices are going to be different. How do we proceed from there? We both believe in Christ, but will we be able to share our practices? So that's another question entirely, it's another aspect entirely. But talking about being unequally yoked, I was actually talking about marrying somebody who is not a Christian. I think it's a no-no. I think that it makes things difficult even for one. Okay, so I have a question for you. Do you believe that it's mandatory for celestials to have their marriage ceremony in celestial church?
Did I ask you? Don't worry, write it on the paper. It's coming.
I would say it depends on how seriously are you as a celestial? How serious a celestial are you? Because if you're someone that sees cracks in celestial and sees the imperfections of celestial, or the celestial that we see, it will be 50-50 in your mind. But if you're someone that walks with God, because it's very easy in celestial to find yourself working for God rather than walking with God. And if you're someone that walks with God in celestial, I don't think you'll see an issue with getting married in celestial. But if you're working for God, or if your mind isn't entirely walking with God, I think you will have issues. But for me, it's compulsory for a celestial to marry a celestial. Because what's wrong with celestial? For you to say, you know, I don't want to go and get married. Why would you worship there your whole life? Follow everything else, and then get to the marriage and go, I don't know, maybe I'll run away and go and do something else. I think a lot of the time, I think one of the reasons why people run is because there's not many examples of good marriages in celestial. I think it's because a lot of the marriages that we've grown up to see, as much as I probably won't even be able to relate to it much, the sisters in here will probably be able to relate to a lot of the marriages, the shambles, because, no, I have to be honest, this is, as far as I'm concerned, since I've been in celestial, this is the first time I've seen something like this happen. So, and I think, the fact that this is the first time that I've witnessed it should tell a story. And I've been in Celestial probably 20 something years. It's weird I can say that, because usually we hear the elders saying, I've been here for 20 years. But yeah, I think if you don't, I don't think we should fear what's going on. I don't think we should pay attention to other people. I think you should remain focused on your relationship and your walk with God, in or out of Celestial. If you're a Pentecostal person and you want to get married, there's no reason why you should come to Celestial to come and do your wedding. If you practice, you follow the ordinances of God within your church. And if you're a Celestial, there's no, unless you're going for the pictures of the cathedrals and the stuff, maybe we don't have them. But I don't see any reason why you shouldn't be getting married.
Of your past with your partner, or present or current, anything that's very intimate and specific to you that you don't share with everyone, but this is someone you will be sharing your life to. When do you reckon is the right time?
Okay, so I was very privileged to do a premarital course with these two lovely people on my left. And it was actually titled 2 equals 1, and there was a concept that stuck with me, and it was, sorry if I'm taking a long way to answer this, but I just have to do this in my head.
That's fine.
And one of the concepts was 2 equals 1, and it was 2 wholes equals 1, not 2 halves. And I feel like if you are carrying baggage, because if you're carrying something that you just, okay, what reason would you have not to share it? Probably because you think the person, like you're considering how that person will take the information, or you're not comfortable sharing that information with them for some reason. Now that's baggage. That's baggage that you'd be taking into any relationship, be it the friendship part, be it the marriage part. And if you don't that kind of thing could produce fruit, because you could sow seeds of disloyalty. And say I was dating somebody and I had a really, I don't know, maybe my past was, I was Ronaldo.
Oh right, you was active.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And maybe for her, that was a big deal. She wanted to know what your past was like, and maybe when she asked, you kind of hid it. But then, the truth is, maybe you scored maybe 400 goals. Praise the Lord. When I say that, I mean you're very experienced in football.
Right. Yeah.
If you decide to share that at a later stage, it might kind of plant a seed in her heart.
Would you share it immediately?
Would I share it immediately?
When I say immediately, what's the
Okay. I can't speak for what's right, but I'll tell you what I would do. I don't like to carry baggage. I would pour it out straight away. Whatever you ask me, I will tell you on the spot. Like, if you ask me what my history is, I'll tell you exactly what it was like. If you want in detail, I'll tell you. And that's because it might be a bit of a selfish thing, because sometimes I don't really care how it comes across, I just get it off. But I think it's right to know that you're... I heard Maria mention that she sensed this purity from Jerry. And that purity you won't... I don't think it will come across if you're not honest, completely honest, if you don't let go of all the baggage. For me, I think you should definitely say as soon as, because you want the person to like you for who you are.
It's just dating stages that you don't even know. This is not, you don't know yet.
Oh yeah, okay, so that's all. You also have to consider, it depends on how serious you are together. I don't know what's your aim? Like, for me personally, I made the decision when I was the first year or so of uni, that the next relationship I get into, my aim is to get married. I won't ask a girl out if I don't have intention of marrying her. And I was always going to let that be known from early, so that if she had an issue with it, she can bounce quick. Sorry. No, but if she doesn't have an issue with it, then I know that we can move on. But why hold it and tell her later that she has an issue with it and worse?
Okay, so we're moving on to the next topic. Sex before marriage. I know, it's very spicy, it seems to be the norm nowadays that, gotta be trying before you buy it, because, you don't know if you're going to be sexually compatible, etc. And I think the question I want to ask is, what are your views? Do you think one should wait now in the modern Christian? I want you to be as honest as possible, okay? I don't want you to, don't fear, don't watch everybody's eye. Should we be waiting? And how realistic is it to wait?
Yes, definitely. You said modern Christianity.
This modern day and age.
Yes, definitely. As Christians, modern or olden, I believe that what the Bible says is what the Bible says. And I think sex before marriage, the Bible says that we should flee from it. It says we should flee from fornication. So I don't think personally that there are any exceptions to that. I think as I've kind of grown older in the spirit, I've kind of seen and understood the reasons why we shouldn't have sex before marriage. I think a lot of the time we look at the physical side of things and we think, okay, yeah, pregnancy might come, STI might come, but the spiritual aspect of it is the real reason why we shouldn't do it before marriage.
Okay, now that you've made it clear that God's word has never changed,
It hasn't changed.
and the standards should really be kept the same, how can we practically prevent ourselves from submitting to sexual desires? Because these things are real and being experienced by people who are wanting.
So number one, don't put yourself in a position of temptation. I think a lot of the time we like to play with fire, I'll say, and we like the match. Like, let's be real with ourselves. I mean, girls, I'll do to the girls when I'm a female, but if a guy says come to his house, yeah, are you really going there to go and eat jollof rice? Like, let's be real. Jollof rice and there's after, so I mean, if a guy says come to his house, or if you're even in a position where you're intimate, it's not even always the house, let's be real, but let's use wisdom, like, you know that it could get sticky. That's just the reality of it. That's my belief personally. Everyone might have different beliefs, but I would say that it starts with the mind. That's how I see it. It starts with the mind, and a lot of the times it could just start with one seed of a thought, and you're already thinking about fornicating with somebody, and then you dwell on it, and then it goes into your heart, and then you see that person, and it starts on that seed. And for me, I think in terms of the temptation aspect, once that seed comes, literally we have to straight away just cut it off.
Give us a practical example.
Oh.
Like, how do you cut it off? Because I think it's really easy for us to be like, flee lustful desires, don't go to his house. Like,
that's number one, don't go to his house, but I think it's also about guarding. No, I'll go to his house, for example, but if it's going to be a situation where we're alone, I wouldn't, no. But I think it's about also guarding your heart and guarding your eyes, what you allow to come in. If you're constantly watching, let's say, movies with sexual scenes, or if you're constantly reading books or stories like, I can't remember the name of that book, but there's a book that, thank you. It's going to be in your mind. That's a seed you're sowing. That's a seed you're sowing. And avoiding those things, I think, is just the beginning, personally. I think just not allowing that seed to be sown initially. If you are in that position, like Joseph did, run. Run, literally. But I just think it's harder when you're in that situation. So just don't allow yourself to get to that stage.
Right. I agree with what you said. The Bible is very clear that there should be sex before marriage. I gave a speech a couple of years ago, and I said I'll be a hypocrite if I didn't admit that I had sex before marriage. Now, my view is this. The Bible says we should do it, so we shouldn't do it. If you find yourself in a situation, you need to have learned self-control. Now, I think I was having this chat with someone. When I was 16, I was in Yabatek, and I came back to Nigeria, England, a couple of years after I met my first girlfriend there. And then she came back to London a week before me. And then we had two things that were sticky in our relationship. One, she said she didn't want sex before marriage. And I said, no problem. Because in the back of my head, I thought that thing will be mine at some point. So I haven't got a problem with that. The second thing, which then became a big issue, was she said she couldn't leave her church and I couldn't leave mine. So she wanted to go to her church and I wanted to come to my church. And that was a big problem. But going back to this, and unfortunately we broke up because of that reason, there has to be some self-control. You need to, I differ from what my young sister said about not spending time. You need to spend time with your future partner. This is not, the time I'm saying is not going to spend time having sex, no. You need to spend time with someone to get to know them. I actually said in a speech once, and I had some parents come up to me and saying, are you saying this? I said, you need to go on holiday with your future partner. Yes. Look, let's be practical about this. One thing that will happen is, if you don't know, it is risky, but there has to be self-control. No, hold on. If you don't know what your partner is like late at night or first thing, you don't know if they're as grumpy as anything. I wake up in the morning and I let it out, I fart. So my wife knows that I go to the toilet and I let it rip. And if that's an issue to her, she needs to know that before she marries me. So these are the practical things that I'm talking about. You need to spend time with your partner. You need to spend good, important time with them, quality time, but it doesn't involve having sex. So if you don't spend time, so if you don't go on holidays, you don't go out together, this thing about don't be alone, you need to be alone. You want to know that if Ren is alone, is he fidgety, is he, does he do things that are going to irritate you? These are the times you will find out. When we court, guys will put on their best robes and they go out. And the ladies I'll tell you, and I know we're short of time, I'll tell you a very quick thing here, and this is real. It sounds like a joke, but it wasn't. These guys courted for a year and a half, 2 years, they got married. On the day of the wedding, the guy all excited, they had their reception, they went to they had a hotel, this is real, they stayed in the hotel, they went to bed. They did their thing for the first time. The guy falls asleep, all contented and happy, wakes up in the middle of the night and he screams, "Who are you?" And she goes, "It's me." I hope there's no Temilade here. "It's Temilade?" And he goes, "You?" Because it's the first time he's seen her without with the wig off, with the nails off, with the makeup off, all the spots. And then he had an issue. And if I tell you this, they ended up divorcing because the guy was like, "Look, this is not the Temilade I do." I'm being serious. You need to spend time with your future partner. You need to get to know them.
Thank you, sir. Yes, perfect. But love conquers all things. Please. Start.
on to the last topic before our break, which is hashtag men are trash, hashtag women are mad. I want us to really dig deep, but keep it brief. This question will be aimed at Maria, and we're in a time where this statement just keeps getting posted everywhere. It's being said so much. Should we buy into this statement? Is this something that, not necessarily supporting, but is it something that should be part of our mindset?
I believe that's a very popular statement that's come out these days, which is men are trash. It's one of those statements that comes from somebody that has had a bad experience or has heard of a bad experience, and because of that they've labelled all guys. But the issue is that it's not all guys that are trash or bad, as we say. It's guys that have done that kind of thing to you. And not every guy has that same character. So if we go into the whole point of courting somebody or getting to know somebody with that kind of mindset, then you'll continue to be in that state where you will not settle down with anybody. Because you'll continue to have that thought in your mind of men are trash, or men does this, or men has this kind of characteristic. And it'll continue to linger in the back of your mind. So it's a mindset that we need to be able to put down very quickly and understand that it's not every person that will do certain things to you or will give you some sort of negative experience. And that's something that we need to be able to have within our mind going forward.
Do you have anything to say for the women who are brought into this statement? They're tired of men and they're trashing them. Is it?
First of all, it's not just men. It's not just men that have that label. Women also have the same label with some men. But like Brother Oshodi said, it's a mentality that people that have been hurt have kind of held on to and have shared. But it's, especially for Christians, it's not the right way to look at men. That's if we're going to look at the one that you brought up. I think if you have this in the back of your mind that men are trash, I think you might find that it will be easier for you to get offended when you find something wrong. I think it should go without saying for us as Christians that we shouldn't have it in the back of our mind that women are mad and men are trash. We're beautifully and wonderfully made, not to sound cheesy, but the truth is, it's the wrong mentality, and I don't really know what more to.
So, men are trash, what do you think? And what hope can you give to the woman who is tired of that? A hashtag women are mad. So what hope can we give to the simpletons?
I think my brothers they touched on it. They said it all. But what I would add is that, like for me, for example, I have brothers. So saying men are trash would be me putting them in that category, which for me it doesn't make sense. Like my brother said, it's obviously started from somewhere. There's a root. There's a seed. Sorry, I keep mentioning seed, but a lot of things actually start with a seed. And I think for women that have that mentality, they need to go back to what is the root of that seed, because even if it's one guy, two guys, three guys that may have, I like to call it trashy behavior. I don't like to say trash, men are trash. Like, men are not trash, women are not mad. But I think if a woman or female is seeing a continuous pattern of men who are in their eyes trash or exhibiting trash behavior, it might need to get to a point where they need to also look at themselves, to be honest. I think, like, why is it that you are attracting trash behavior or you're attracting men who you consider to be trash? So, yeah, with that statement, I would just say that don't always just look at the guy, look at yourself as well and see maybe there's something that you need to change within yourself or something that might be within you that is causing you to attract these type of men. wrong mindset, definitely. And like my brother said, if you're going to go into every relationship with that mentality, you're not going to move forward. It's going to be a hindrance, and you're just going to already look for problems.
Okay, everyone, so we finally finished the first half of the segment. Accountability. What does accountability look like? Oh, hold on a second. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! Nice. If anybody needs to enter or exit the church, please use the back door. Not the front door, the back door. Otherwise, I will look at you funny. Thanks. Right, so we'll be looking at the topic accountability. What does accountability look like in a relationship? And how can one deal with negative issues within a relationship? I fidelity abuse. And C.C.C, I'm looking at you. What's your thoughts?
Okay, so when we talk about accountability, hello, is that better? It works? Does it work?
Is that better? Yeah. Okay. Just expand a bit more on that.
So what does it look like in a relationship, and how can we deal with negative issues?
So the degree to which you can deal with accountability in your relationship depends on the quality and the character of your relationship. Yeah, if there is a dishonor, there's dishonorable behavior, there's disrespect, then that is thrown out the window. You know, but if you're in an environment where it's secure, it's safe, there's love, you know, the presence of God is there, then it's easier to be accountable, it's easier to be transparent, because people will not open up to their spouse if they think they're going to be condemned, judged, and criticized. But if you've grown in your relationship, in your marriage, where you are both secure in each other and feel it's a safe place, then it's easier to be accountable. Now, I remember my husband saying to me, I think we were talking about something, but he said, oh, you know, he gave me a compliment, but he said, I know you're not perfect. And I thought, you know. But I understood what he said. Yes, you do have your faults, and you do have issues that need to be dealt with. However, I still love you. I still appreciate you. You know, so it's being in an environment that is safe. And I think that's the challenge for most marriages, being transparent. Where people are hiding from each other. They are hiding. They are not really themselves in their marriage. They appear to be something else. And so that's why when things happen, sometimes people are shocked. I didn't know this would happen. I didn't know you could do this. But that's because there's a lot of hiding going on. And as I said, the degree to which you're able to be open and be honest in your relationship is dependent upon the degree to which there is love, you have acceptance, and that is something you build. So it's so important that we have an understanding of the environment in which the marriage is in. It's easier to be accountable.
Okay, I know I said we were going to have one topic here, but I'll put it off for why it was history, not to share. Uncle, what did divorce teach you? Just briefly, quickly. I know it's hard here, but we need to know.
Divorce taught me one thing, which was you need to go back to God and be His child. And why I say that is my first marriage was, I put it this way, my ex-wife was a good woman, but she just was not good for me. And I believe I'm a good man, but I wasn't good for her. So as to what happened to her thereafter, it's not for here. But divorce taught me that when you get it wrong, when you choose the wrong partner, you would you would believe, it will affect you financially, it will affect even your morals will be touched, it will affect your spiritual side of you. I got to a point where I couldn't pray. When I was going to bed, I would just say, Father, be with me, keep me, and I go to bed because I couldn't pray. And that taught me that I was hurting. I got to a point where I was diagnosed as, it started with something depressed. And I was like, okay, what's this? And I remember sitting down one day in the middle of the night, butt naked, on my living room floor crying. So one thing that divorce taught me is that you need to choose the right partner. Choosing the right partner is not easy. I'm a practical Christian. I admit that. It's not an easy task. But you've got to take time, you've got to spend effort, you've got to put in the right amount of time to try and find the right person. And when you do believe the right, you've got to pray about it. You can't. I met my ex-wife, and just like my dear brother said, I was switched on. It was like, yeah, she meets what I want physically. Men are like gas holes. You turn on the gas hole, press the ignition, boom, the flame comes and we're alive. We're there, we're in love. And women are like electric cookers. You turn them on, they gradually warm up. And when they get to where they stay warm. And even when they turn off, they still remain warm, but then gradually. But man, you turn off a gas hob, the flame is gone. And it was like she met everything I wanted. I thought she was, I didn't really pray about it. I won't lie about it. I was young, I didn't really pray. I just thought, yeah, she meets it. It looks right. Yeah?
Do you feel like there's this one person for one person and that's it?
Nah. I don't believe that. I believe that many people, as my darling sister, I think, said, many people will come into your life. I think somebody said it earlier. Many people will come into your life, and you need to decide if they're the right person for you or not. And one thing I do, I believe that everybody that comes into my life comes in for a reason and a purpose. Now, it doesn't mean that every woman, when I was single, every woman that came into my life was to get married to or to go out with. Some people are friends, and they will impact in my life, have an impact in my life just as much as someone that I went out with, and I will never go out with them, but they still impact my life. So when people come into your life, you've got to ask yourself, is this, what's this person there for? And if people come into my focus more than a few times, I ask myself, what are they doing in my mind? I question it. You can't be taking up time in my head if there's no reason to be there. I will ask myself, what's this person doing? And then I will then define the relationship. Now, so as to whether, what is this? What are they there for? So I don't believe that there's just one person for you. I believe you will come across people. Now, if you meet someone and they don't meet your needs, and obviously, let's think about having a friendship before the romance is so important. Because if they don't start the romance, move on.
Okay, so I'm saying date intentionally. Right, thank you very much. That's enough of our panelists now. We're throwing it now to you, the audience. Does anybody have any questions? I'm taking a maximum of 3 questions. 3. You guys, come on, man. I was hearing so many, and now nothing. Okay, we've got 1. We have 2. Don't be shy. 2. Okay, let's start with the first one. Sis, you want to come and grab my mic, Abby? Yeah, sorry. Okay, sit down. Okay, sit down then. Thank you. So, my question is
But we as Celestians, I feel like, as Mummy said, the path is quite different because of our beliefs, because of our doctrines. And one question that was thrown was, do you think, as Celestians, you should get married in the Celestial Church? And our brother, who did get married in the Celestial Church, said he feels yes, depending on your level of faith in the church, I believe he was talking about, like, or how you see Celestial. Whereas I feel like you coming to Celestial Church is not based on how much you like the church, or you get married to the church. It's not based on it's not based on how you envision the church. It's not based on that. Sometimes it's literally based on petty things. We need to understand that, as Mummy said, that our doctrines don't allow for certain things to happen. And sometimes just getting married outside of the church, it doesn't mean that your faith in the church or your walk in the church or your work in the church is any less. So I think the way maybe you put it across was a bit wrong, because it may put a downer on some people who do not wish to get married in this church, with nothing against the church, just simply because of maybe, I've got to cover my hair, I can't wear my shoes. Sometimes it's literally those things. And what I believe is that the Bible does not say that to get married you have to be in front of an altar, in front of a priest or in front of a shepherd, and he has to declare you man and wife. That's the law of the land. Am I right? That's the law of the land. Yeah? The Bible does say that we should obey the law of the land. I totally understand. But the Bible, when I read the Bible and I read about marriage, it only said one man has to take one woman, and the two must be in agreement. That's what the Bible declares marriage. So if those two have declared themselves, yes, we're together, we're dating, you're basically married. You're basically saying that, yes, we are married, we are in this together, and we're married. It's only because the law of the land says we must come to the church, or we must be before a registrar, and you must get that certificate. That's what then deems you married, which I believe, no. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Okay, you can call it. I was just trying to bounce off what my brother said. I was just bounce off what he said, really. Yeah, okay, I think.
Because he boldly put his hand up, and if anybody is, wanting to ask, it's I'm coming. You see, I'm coming. I'll stand. Okay. I was going to stand up.
There's none of them I use the opportunity to. I'll do it three parts.
No, wait.
My question was simple. Okay. But there's three parts to the question. The first question that I have, for people that are in relationships, Uncle was mentioning about kind of knowing when to fight and knowing when to let go. I think that when you're in a relationship, it's very, especially when you're in a new friend relationship, you don't know when to let things go, or maybe I don't want to let things go because I know what could potentially happen. So my question is, is there a formula? How do you go about it? Is it to say that, because you use the example of saying they want kids. Yeah. Obviously that's a quite big deal. Not everything is such it's not always like that. There might be smaller things, yeah, it's not always black or white. So does that mean that because we argue once a week or twice a week we should split up? Or does that mean, is there not some, you should try and fight for it? That's part one, yeah?
Wait, okay. Let's make the part one. Uncle, would you like to portray? Because you are the one that you said it.
Okay, what was the question exactly?
Basically, when do you know when to fight and not when to fight? Like you were saying about yeah.
Right, you don't need to win every battle. There are some things you've got to learn to compromise on. But there are some things that are so fundamentally important, and if it deals with the core of who you are. So now, if you're with someone, and everything I'm saying is pre-romance, so you're courting someone, you're going out with someone, and they are saying something that is fundamentally different from your beliefs. You've got to talk about it, address it, and if you can't resolve it, then you've got to ask yourself, should I continue this? You don't continue because it won't get better. If you can't resolve it, then seek outside help. Go for counseling. And if it still doesn't get better, then you've got to ask yourself, do you want to continue this? Because it's not going to, in my opinion, I think with relationships, when we get married, we stop making that effort. And that's when it even gets worse.
The second part.
Yes, you mentioned, you said about seeking counseling and stuff. My second question was going to be, if you're in a relationship, I feel like, and I've had this conversation with other people as well, about not how private you keep your relationship, but my understanding is that a relationship is you and your partner, like you said, it's not even how to keep, but like, is it supposed to be me and my partner against the world? Or if I need problems, if I'm having a problem and I want to talk to my brother about it, that's fine. I can get my advice, but he's not in a relationship. It's not his relationship. So he will have advice, but he doesn't know the girl. He doesn't know what we're going through. He doesn't know everything. So therefore, I can only, realistically, I should go back to, if I have a problem, it should be me going back to the girl and saying, this is the problem. We talked about communication, isn't it? This is the problem I'm having. The question is, how are you supposed to...
Oh, do you know where he's going? Yes,
I think yes.
Yeah. Okay, no problem.
I think if I just say what I think he's saying so that he can correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Right. What I think you're saying is when you are with your partner, when you have issues, is this something, do you take it to outside?
How much of outside advice
should you be getting? Yeah, I think the very first thing to say is, if you take the position that is me and my partner against the world, I think you are putting yourself in a very dangerous position. But the important thing is, who do you seek advice from? And I would say it's very dangerous to seek advice from your friends. Because what is going to happen is if you're the man and you go to your men friends, I can assure you your men friends will take your side and they will give you advice that will be biased. And it's the very same thing as well. And a lot of women do that as well. Women obviously are more, communicate much more than men. So it's more normal for women to take their issues to their women friends. And in the very same way, when we get an advice that will be biased. What you should be looking at is looking for someone older, someone that both of you have trust in. And hopefully, God will lead you to that sort of person. And I'm looking at someone who will be giving you advice from a position of experience and a position from his relationship with God, so that he'll be giving you godly advice. And then more importantly, like my wife just used the word objectively. But I think if you are in a relationship and you talk about the early stages, if you're in a relationship in the early stages, you're getting to the point where you are constantly having issues that you have to be looking for people to get advice from, then you should seriously be questioning yourself, because at that point of your relationship, you should not be, I shouldn't be as drastic as that, but it should not, big issues shouldn't be coming up. Big issues, major issues should not be raised.
My question is, it's not spiritual, it's to do with worldly issues. I basically watched the video, I watched this thing called Gasworks, I don't know if you know what it was. But basically, there's a guy on the thing, and he was talking about marriage in terms of the aspect of it, I'll put it that way. Like the registration, all those type of things. Yeah. And it was basically saying that to him, he doesn't see the point. It just seems like that's just the government knowing that you're ticked as Mr. and Mrs. So in terms, it's just a piece of, like someone said, it's just a piece of paper. Do we, as Celestians and as people looking for, if you're looking to go into marriage, how important, or let me just say, do we need it really to be going to value? Not that should be value, but if I went in front of the altar and I asked my granddad, please, I want to marry this girl, we get married, and that's it. That's the marriage. For me, in my opinion, marriage is done. We're married now. The government don't need to know that I'm married to you. They do. That's my question.
And actually, I think this is a very, very important question. I think it's even if this session ends just with this question, I think if we can get the answer, it's very, very important. The first thing is, what is marriage? You've got to understand what marriage is from God's point of view. And God's, let me just add as well, man did not invent marriage. It was God who invented it. And he invented it right from the Garden of Eden. Because if you, I'll give you some homework to do. I won't give you the answer. But ask yourself, Adam and Eve, were they married or were they just living together? The answer is in the Bible. Now, that's your homework. Now, if you understand that marriage comes from God, next question is, what is marriage? Marriage is a covenant. And a covenant involves vows, promises, and other things that go with it. So once you understand that marriage is a covenant, you have to see that it's a process that you go through before you get married. Of course, the rules of the land cover you going through it doesn't necessarily say that you have to be married before a priest, but you have to go through a process. But the covenant bit is what I want you to understand. When you go into a covenant, it is more than just a piece of paper. The piece of paper is just the evidence. That is going through that process of saying your vows and saying the promises. And the big difference between a covenant and a contract, marriage is not a contract. Marriage is bigger than a contract. But the reason I'm bringing the contract in is for you to understand how significant it is when you get married. When you have a contract, for example, you go to a bank and sign a contract with them, and the contract might be your mortgage, and you have to pay a certain amount in time, and it's signed on a piece of paper. Can you go and stand in front of the bank manager and say, this thing you've given me is just a piece of paper. I'm not going to pay my mortgage this month. It's not going to happen. The house will go from you and you probably lose quite a bit. And that is the contract. And what you have in a marriage is much deeper and bigger than that. So when you say these things, like is sickness and health, for life and death, it is your vow before God. And if you go into the scriptures of this, the Bible tells us that it is better not to vow than to vow and then break it. So there is a serious thing, marriage. And when you understand that as the fundamental, it's not just the two of you going to stand in a little corner and hugging each other and say, you know what, we married. It doesn't work like that. It is standing, especially before my end God, and vowing. And that is why I'm saying that if you go back into the Word and go and read it for yourself, you find out whether Adam and Eve were indeed married. And if they were married, all the things that went with that. And when you begin to understand, you would take marriage and getting married into a different level. Contract is somewhere down here, a covenant. For example, just before I pass it, like I know I've spoken a bit, but I think if you think about the covenant we have with God, that's the kind of idea of understanding what a covenant is. God has said, my covenant will never, the covenant I have with you, it will never ever will I depart from it. It is, and it's forever. And marriage is brought into that as well. So I think if we are going to the Bible as well, the next question is marriage a covenant? And then, the Bible will give you the answer there.
Right, last question.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay, my first question is...
Sis, when you say first,
I know what it is.
how many questions do you have? It's 9:31. I've broken my covenant to these people.
They're comments and they're questions, but there's generally just one.
Round it up, you have 1 minute.
Oh, wow, okay. Alright, so I want to ask first, when it comes to celestials, who is the person that counsels people that are married in the church? Who has the duty to do that?
And in terms of Mother Celestials and the women in the church, is there a way that they train the women to prepare for marriage? And is there a way that they train the men, as in the men in the church, for marriage? Because there's a lot of emphasis on women. There's hardly any emphasis on a man. If a man decides today that, I don't want to marry until I'm 30 or 32, it's fine. This woman that he's stuck with, him, has to wait until he's ready. So it's on his terms. And even if anything goes wrong, there's still an emphasis on the woman. So who do we turn to in Celestial? Because I didn't see that happen in Celestial, where you will be in a relationship and they'll say, okay, well, these are the questions we're going to take you and your fiancé through to know. Because a lot of the times, what I've seen, just coming from the outside, what I've seen is you get couples that get together, they're all lovey-dovey, but all of the important questions are not asked. And the people that are cancelling them are the people that love them the most, their mom and dad. They're not going to ask you the cutthroat questions. Like, oh, what's your blood type? Oh, what's going on with your finances? How much do you earn a year? They're not asking you.
Hallelujah. That's a very good question. In terms of who counsels who within the church, besides the shepherd can appoint very designated people within the church to be able to provide that counseling. And those are people that he will trust and know that will give the right advice. Now, in terms of who counsels the men, again, I believe that if there are able elders within the church, they should be able to, again, counsel those elders under the supervision of the shepherd as well. I don't believe that the shepherd would appoint just anybody to counsel his members. Same with the women as well. I believe that he will be able to provide virtuous women that can be able to counsel the women, for them to be able to understand how to also run a home, how to also conduct themselves as well. Now, in terms of the cutthroat questions, etc., I believe that, again, that should be for all of those that have been appointed to be able to do so, because counseling is not just the parents. Counseling should be able to be those that are around you, because they always say that within a village, there's always the people around there that will be able to build up the children, etc. And I believe that should be the same in regards to those that are looking to get married as well. Hope that answers your question. Who will counsel them?
Whoever the shepherd appoints, but okay, there's a saying that what I don't have, I can't give. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yes.
There's certain shepherds that you have that their marriages are not marriages. The people that you are surrounded by, their marriages are not successful. Like someone said before, that this is the first kind of panel that we get, where we see people and we see the evidence and we see the fruits of Celestial through you all, right? Whether things work out or not, we still see the fruit of the glory of Christ inside of you guys, right? Cool. Who do you actually go to? Because the shepherd can tell you, oh, go to Uncle so-and-so, and you know within you that Uncle so-and-so relationship is not what you want to emulate. So who are we actually inspiring to be like? Just look in the Bible, but who are we actually, do you get what I'm coming from?
I fully understand the question. And again, to answer that. So look, again, to answer that, like I said, even though, let's say you're directed to somebody, yeah, it all depends on that person that's been appointed to you. You will know their character. You
you know what they're like. And therefore, if you know that this person isn't for you, then naturally you wouldn't gravitate toward that person, isn't it? So you need to be able to gravitate to somebody that you know will be able to give you that right advice. If within your environment that you feel that there's nobody around you, then you need to be able to look elsewhere. That's the cutthroat of it. It's as simple as that. I believe that my brother here wants to buttress on the point. What I kind of wanted to say is, sis, I felt your pain. And I'll be honest, what Timmy or Brother Shirley said, Tori talks too much sometimes. I had that same issue where, well, both myself and my wife had that issue where we were looking at marriages close and far, and they were just not worth emulating. And even some people that claim to do counseling, I personally, and I don't mean this in an offensive way, but I personally refuse to take advice from anyone that's had more than one marriage or two. And I say this not to offend, but I'm saying it because what advice do you want to give me that you didn't? Guys, I'll be honest here. In Celestial, we don't have many examples. You're not really. It's very hard to find. And if you can't find them, outsource. We were hungry for the knowledge. We wanted to know what we were getting into and we wanted to also. We kind of wanted to be the change that we wanted to see. And that's why we're not looking to just take the counseling, but we also want to get to a point where we can also share the counseling. And I think this is a good kind of thing to find ourselves in if you are hungry for the knowledge. But as far as who you can go to, if it's not in your church, go out, do the research, and bring it back to your church.
In Elephant Council, we have trained counsellors. So before you get married in this church, and luckily the coordinator of the women ministry is here, she can correct me if I'm wrong. Before you get married in this church, you will spend time with trained counsellors. Now it's so in Celestial, what my brother there said was very correct. It is a scary thought that generally there are not a lot of great marriages that you can look at and emulate, and you've got to be careful who you approach. I know someone that went to one of the elders and said, look, my wife is cheating, and I said, so what's your problem? You go and do your own. And it's true, I'm not joking. These are the sad reflections of who you go to talk to. So, but in Elephant Castle, which is the church I've been in for 30 years, we have trained counselors. Before you get married, you will go and you will spend time with trained counselors. When I got divorced, or when I was divorced, because I chose that it's a covenant, as my brother said, for life. And I actually decided, I moved out, bought a house, moved out, and I decided that I was going to live like that for the rest of my life. And then she chose to divorce me, which was kind of good because I thought I couldn't do it. But anyway, I had to go and spend time with a trained counselor in our church. I did 6 weeks counseling with him, and then I went to do a 42-week counseling outside to sort my head out. But that's why I said divorce is her, so choose right.
Hallelujah. So all of a sudden now you have questions. We have 2 minutes. Oh, so nobody wants to go. Okay, no problem.
Just a quick question. So, if a woman and a man are not legally married, but they live together, they have kids together, they're acting as husband and wife, would you still call that fornicating or fornication?
Such a union is called cohabiting. And it is frowned upon, I believe. If they want to be one, and
as the Bible has said, that the man will leave his parents and cleave unto his wife, they should make their intention known, and they should go the whole hog and do the right thing. There's no two ways about it. You're either married or you're not. So yes, it is wrong. It could be a form of adultery.
I'm so sorry, Mama. She did say whether they're not legally married.
Yes.
There's other forms of marriage. So if
Yeah, but she did not mention a particular
oh,
type.
okay. Maybe I'm just gonna do like your okay, so she said you're not legally married.
Hold on.
Yes,
sir. I'm getting there.
Okay.
Yeah, where we come from, I'm sure most of us here are from Africa. We do have traditional marriage where the couple they come to before the elders in the society and they declare their intention and they are joined together in the eyes of God and in the eyes of their families, their individual families, and they are then known as a union. We cannot disregard that. It's a marriage. You understand? But if you are not talking about any particular type of ceremony or bringing yourselves before God, then and you just move in with each other, which is the trend nowadays, where people say, okay, let's live together a little bit and see if we're compatible, and then that's simply a form of testing. Then that could still be seen to be adultery. Pardon?
You don't know.
No, that's why we have dating. Dating, hold on. Dating is a period of time when you can get data about each other. You ask valid questions. It's been said here, you spend time together. This is when you get to know each other better. If the whole society decides to keep on moving in with each other, something and then moving on to the other, then we'll have a chaotic society. And God knows that. That's why He said that there should be marriage. He said, I tend to say in the garden there was those Adam and Eve. There were not several Adams and several Eves, but mingling with each other. So, yes, cohabiting would be a form of adultery.
Okay. We have one more question.
Basically, I think you said something about you wouldn't take advice from somebody who's been divorced. But I personally think that's a bit of an ignorant statement. I think it's a bit of an ignorant statement, but everyone's obviously subject to their own thoughts and beliefs. But I feel like nobody really gets into a marriage with the intention to divorce. And I feel like to say that because they've had a divorce, their opinions on marriage or anything are void. Because I feel like in that sense, they would know, okay, this is what I went through, and as a means of avoiding this and this, maybe this is the route that you should take, or as a means of avoiding divorcing, because nobody really would ever really recommend as well for somebody to get divorced, because we know that that's not really what we want for each other. So I feel like I think I'm going in circles, but yeah, I just think it's a bit of an ignorant statement.
Hallelujah. Okay, so my saying that I wouldn't take advice from someone who's been divorced, so I kind of should elaborate. It's not that, because I agree with you, that there are people that are divorced that will still have wisdom. Fools would despise wisdom. But my saying that, it's a big thing to say without expanding. Me?
Actually, what you said was someone who's been divorced more than once.
Yeah, that is actually that's what you said.
Well, that's true as well, but even that in itself is, to be honest, more than once. Okay, for me, I'll say this. If you know what marriage is, if you learn what marriage and the covenant is, like Jerry was saying, divorce will never be on the cards. And hallelujah. If you know what marriage is, if you understood the concept of a covenant, because a covenant isn't until you get me mad. A covenant is lifelong. And that's why there's a lot of things that you will say before the altar that we see in the movies, but we don't really take in until it's closer to the time, is till death do us part, for sickness and in health. It's irregardless of your faults. And before you get to that point, first of all there's dating, then there's the courtship, then there's the what's the engaged period? Engagement, and then there's the marriage. So there's quite a lot of steps that you would have had to go through. Now, you see that statement that I made, the first time I made it, the root of it was anger. And it was because I was in that season where I was looking around and I was just like, I'm ready to get serious with marriage now. The next girl I meet that I ask out is it. But I just didn't I looked around for ages. And I knew that Uncle This was talking to one of the youth in the church, and he's been married for ages. And Auntie This, and you hear of the shepherd of this place that's talking to this, whatnot, and there weren't any good examples. And when I looked at them, the common thing was most of them had been divorced. And it was, there was people that, the constant advice that I would get, because even though I saw them as divorced, I would still speak to them. And the common thing I noticed was that divorce was nothing. They didn't see divorce as an issue. And I'm not willing to take advice from anybody that's married and sees divorce as an option. If you, and this is why, and guys, it will anger you and it will annoy you when you hear some of these kind of strong things, but if we don't hear them, it won't make you want to go and do your research. Because now I'm sure some people want to go and read in the Bible now more about marriage. But the truth is, you're getting into a lifelong covenant. And if you start that journey with the mindset of, if it gets like this, I'll just divorce, you're going to follow the same, you're going to find yourself in the same position as the generations before you. Someone was talking about taking advice from, close people. Funny enough, one of the people that I never expected to give me this advice, gave me this advice, and it's because I know what he was about. And he said to me one day, he said to both myself and my wife, he said, when you get angry, don't go to your mum. If Rachel does something to me, my wife does something wrong to me, I shouldn't take it to my mum, because my mum's going to take my side. And if I do something wrong, she shouldn't take it to her family. And it's not just because they're going to take your side, but naturally, even when you and your missus or husband get over what you get over, the seed still stays. And the day you go back again with another issue, or maybe you could be having dinner at the house and you said something that her mom didn't like, and that's how you went to go and say something to my daughter, and it can really escalate. Now, to kind of bring it back, me saying I wouldn't take advice from someone who's been divorced, and Tosin, what you said as well earlier, we need to conversate about that, because I think I need to expand a bit. No, not that yet. That would be a private.
You have 20
Didn't you guys say that we can ride on? Okay. But I don't want you to think that I hate or I'm against people that. It was just and I did say it was my personal opinion. Someone that's had a divorce more than once, twice, it's like the advice that you want to sit down and now give me, I'm worried about it. I'm concerned because you've had more than one marriage. Like why have you had more than one marriage? Or why have you had more than two? If you pass two, I won't lie, it will be very difficult for me to take. I've had elders, I've had people that had one marriage or more than two tell me, if they get like this, just go out and do your own thing. Blah, blah. That's the kind of advice that you're getting from these people, because they don't really understand what marriage is. So I'm not listening to you if you've shown, but if the fruits in your life have told me that you don't understand marriage and you see divorce as an option, I'm not listening to you.
That's all we have time for today.
So we're going to round off. We're done. I think today we've really received a wealth of information from our very well-versed panelists. So a round of applause for them, please. Well done, everybody. Even the contributions from you, our guests. We really appreciate all of you for attending and for contributing, and we appreciate our panelists as well for all your contributions and for being so open and honest, because I think that's something we don't receive enough of in society of nowadays. Love is... So I think, yeah, something that we don't receive enough of is this openness in a platform. We don't receive as much honesty on a platform. And so I pray in Jesus' name that we have many more platforms like this to talk about things like this, because this is something ongoing that we are all going through and we will all experience one day. And so why aren't we hearing more and more about love? Not just marriage, not just relationships, but love itself. And so thank you very much everyone for joining us. I want to make sure that you all leave this place with a seed of hope, that there is love for you from God Himself, even if you're not receiving love from anyone else, or you don't feel as though you're receiving love from anyone else. God Himself is love, and that is the theme of today. And so if you don't leave here with anything, shall you leave here knowing that God loves you?